It's too much.
Hey, it's Ryan Rollins with the Golden State Warriors. Now back to the morning roast with Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky.
Man, Ryan Wallace, smooth there. Barely got to know you, Ryan. Good luck in the nation's capital. Second round pick from the season to go out of Toledo. He gets packaged alongside Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. Also, the Warriors sent a couple picks to the Washington Wizards as they are in a full rebuild mode. Boy, I was describing Chris Paul there. The flopping, the antics.
What year was that?
That was
Sounds so young.
It was young. That was a young.
What do we all expect? The guy's putting on a clown show here in the second round of the playoffs.
2019 second round.
Pre-TVB.
Alongside Whitley Sandrano. I miss those videos. Shout out to Whitley, who's living her life in Cabo right now, Mexico. Of course, she's got all the receipts. Casey and D'Lo's got the receipts.
Chris Paul's a dirty player.
This is you.
That
That's
is
you.
me.
Wait, give me that one more time. That's you in 2019.
Chris Paul's a dirty player.
Hi, I'm Bonte Hill. Chris Paul with us, player of the game.
Well, I never say player of the game, but, hey, 18-year vet, future Hall of Famer Chris Paul.
So you've been brushing up.
Oh, boy. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. TV Bonte in full effect, baby. CP3, welcome home. Welcome to the Bay.
Let me ask you this one. Does this deal, for right now, does this deal make sense on the court with or without Draymond? What does it make more sense with? Because I can make an argument that if he's just running exclusively the second unit, it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
I get all that. But part of what made JP really good is that you could play him with the starting unit when a guy was out.
Yeah.
And occasionally he can close games. Now, he wasn't reliable in the playoffs. I'm not here
Right.
to cape up, but he was awesome at times. Awesome. And horrible at times, but awesome at times alongside Draymond. Can CP3 and Draymond coexist offensively?
I don't know.
Because there's a lot of redundancy in terms of ball usage.
I was trying to play this out. I was trying to wrap this in my head in terms of just a five-man lineup, right? And what if they went? Wiggins, Clay, Steph, CP3, Draymond Green. Know that Wiggins loves to operate on one block or in the corner. Clay loves to come off multiple screens. We know that Steph Curry loves to come off multiple screens. And Draymond Green dominates that area at the elbow or in the low block in the split action, where he's got the ball and guys are screening for each other. Now, is Chris Paul going to be able to move around like that? I have no idea. I have no idea if that's going to work out. But let me tell you, you do need Draymond Green. And look, again, I want to make this clear. Draymond Green on the floor last year was a really good basketball player. He was. Now, it didn't look good in the last 13 games in the playoffs. It did not look good. But he had a very good year. All second team, defensive team. Is that leadership back with him? Obviously, the veterans like him. Obviously, Steph Curry does not want to part ways with Draymond Green. And what Steph wants, Steph gets. He's earned that equity. He's earned it.
Can I ask you a question?
What's up?
So he retweeted, or I guess reposted on his Instagram. Someone said Draymond's worth $3 for $100 million.
Yeah, I know.
So let's just say, hypothetically, it's a $30 million contract for 3 years. Is he worth, if you're the owner, okay, right now you're at $275 million. Right now, that's what your payroll and your luxury bill is going to cost you. $275. If you bring Draymond back, as we talk about money and shedding this guy's salary, shedding PBJ to save $10 million, boom, boom. You bring Draymond back, your payroll for next year, including luxury tax, is over $405 million.
Yep.
Is Draymond Green at $30 million a year, which is going to cost you $105, is $120, is that worth it? Does that make you a team that is a Western Conference lock?
No, you're not going to be a Western Conference lock.
Man,
Not a Western Conference
I'd have
lock.
a hard time doing that.
You're not a Western Conference lock. But you're a hell of a lot worse without Draymond Green. Let's be honest.
Currently constructed.
You are a hell of a lot worse.
Probably.
Let's think about it.
Probably. And I think this is why I wanted more for JP in the terms of multiple pieces. If you need, it feels like you have to bring Draymond back to partly justify
and
the
let's be
CP3
real.
deal.
If you play a Denver Nuggets team, let's be real. Kevon Looney and Draymond Green, you're not shutting down Nikola Jokic. But Draymond Green and Kevon Looney played Nikola Jokic as well as anybody in this league. Those are facts.
They were, but there was no Michael Porter Jr.
There wasn't.
No Jamal Murray.
There wasn't. But now you got Andrew Wiggins.
You're right.
You got Andrew Wiggins, to play defense on Jamal Murray. We'll see about Eric Gordon. But they played Nikola Jokic as well as anybody. If you don't have Draymond Green, well, then you're a lot worse. You're a lot worse without Draymond Green. And I have my issues with Draymond Green, but as the basketball player, you're a hell of a lot worse without him. Now, in terms of pieces for Jordan Poole, we don't know what his market value. We don't know how the league felt about him. But here's what Dunleavy Jr., we're going to get to the calls. Coach Alex and Father Time.
Yeah.
Here's what Dunleavy Jr. said this past Monday about Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga.
We love having those guys here. Jordan, especially with his contract extension, plan to have him here for 4 more years at least. And then Jonathan's, he's shown really good progression and growth, I think, in his first couple of years. Unfortunately for him, I think the playing time hasn't been there. And so that's on all of our shoulders to figure out how do we get him in the game more. That's on Jonathan's shoulders to improve and make the right adjustments to his game, as well as, our front office, our coaching staff, figuring out what works. So, both those guys, really, really good young players. We're pleased with. They have great value around the league, and obviously a lot of rumors and stuff come up at this time of the year, but we're happy with those guys.
Great value.
A lot of value around the league. He slipped that in. Now a lot of people stopped at, he's going to be here for at least the next 4 years, and we thought, Jordan Poole's going to be a lifelong Golden State Warrior. But at the end of that clip, they have a lot of value around the league. Now Kuminga's staying. From what I'm hearing. Joe Lacob Company, he's not trading Jonathan Kuminga. He's going to be running pick and rolls with Chris Paul. And you know what? I've talked myself into that. I think that could work.
What?
Chris Paul, Jonathan Kuminga pick and rolls. That's going to be a devastating play.
If Kuminga is allowed to play by Steve Kerr.
He's got to play Kuminga. He's got to play Kuminga. There's no doubt. And I think he will.
I'm going to be honest with you. Seeing all the moves that happened yesterday, I have a hard time saying that Steve Kerr and Bob Myers were on the same page, even at all.
No doubt.
And I'm not here to say this is bulky Harbaugh, because that was one level of dysfunction where one guy's picking players that another guy doesn't want to use or that can't get along with. But boy, it sure feels that way. It sure feels like Bob Myers and Steve Kerr weren't on the same page,
or the front office,
or maybe they just picked the wrong guys.
But no, there was a disconnect last year with the Golden State Warriors. Bob Myers, Dunleavy Jr., and a lot of members of the front office were looking at Steve like, why aren't you playing the youngsters? Play the youngsters. They probably would have had the same record if you would have played the youngsters throughout the season. Hell, one of the signature wins of last season happened in Cleveland when your big guys did not play. The youngsters were balling. But it didn't work out like that. But Jonathan Kuminga, because here's the other thing with Jonathan Kuminga, too. Boy, oh boy. Kuminga can pass. He's a very underrated passer, I should say. And now if you get that second unit rolling and he's playing alongside Clay and CP3 and Andrew Wiggins, I think it could be a damn good second unit. It really can. Now again, the trade, first and foremost, has to do with the money. You move off of Jordan Poole's money as his contract extension kicks in. Chris Paul, you have a team option. You can move off him after the season. Wash your hands clean. Klay Thompson, expiring contract. Wash your hands clean if you want to. But the player, it's going to be tough to get used to the player, Chris Paul. It's going to be tough to. I get why Dub Nation is up in arms about Chris Paul. But is your second unit better now with Chris Paul as opposed to Jordan Poole in that role? Jordan Poole wanted to be a starter. Did not want to be a bench player
but it's hard,
at all.
It's hard for me to envision JP as just a bench player because on this team, baked into the equation was Clay wasn't going to play back-to-backs.
Right.
Baked into the equation of the last couple years. Steph Curry's missed significant time.
Right. But Clay started playing back-to-backs this year.
At the end. I think it was 2.
The All-Star break. Towards the All-Star, played like 4 or 5 back-to-backs. So there you go.
Okay. The point I'm talking about last year.
They had 15 back-to-backs. He played in 5 of them, Shasky.
Okay, that's a third. You know, but my point being is the guy started a lot of games. I believe they were over 500.
42 games.
Yeah,
14 and 12
when he started. So, baked into the equation, I know everyone's like, he's a backup player. On this team, he's a hybrid player. And that's one of the difficult things when you're putting together the roster is you got a lot of older guys.
You do.
And they get hurt, and you got to load manage them. And so roles are going to change and fluctuate, and that's just baked into it. And I think it makes it a lot harder to put together. I think it's really hard to put together a team at this age.
Also, we need to wrap our heads around this one. And we're going to hear from JP at some point in the next 2 weeks when he gets introduced to the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., playing for the Washington Wizards. JP, there's some valid question there whether or not JP was checked out of here. If he was checked out. And why, I would understand why he'd be checked out here. Maybe he just wanted to change the scenery. And maybe his value around the league just wasn't that high with that contract coming into play.
Okay.
And so the Warriors did what they had to do and say, you know what? We got to think about the money long term. Mm-hmm. We can move off this contract. We think maybe in this system, maybe he maxed out. And after what happened last season, maybe he just didn't want to be here. And the Warriors knew that, hey, you know what? These two guys, they're not going to be able to coexist in the same locker room because that was an issue. And if you have an issue in that locker room, as Sean Livingston told Matt Barnes, and we all know this, we all been around team sports. Mm-hmm. We all been around it. If you don't have that cohesion and you can't get along in that locker room and you got a bunch of individual agendas, you're not going to win anything. Well, it's actually remarkable, that team last season, when you sit back and just think about it, it's actually remarkable they advanced to the second round.
Okay, all of what you said,
it's remarkable they made the playoffs.
You're on point here. But now I'm supposed to say, but you just wait for these other couple of young guys. And once they get around CP3, this is a nurturing environment for youngsters to thrive. Like none of these things stack up.
No,
right? I hear you. You're making a lot of great points. But now correlate that to us talking about the ascension of Kuminga with a larger role and Moody with a larger role. Am I wrong to be skeptical?
Year three is usually the point when you make that leap. Year 3 is supposed to be that year. Yeah, I understand the skepticism. I understand it. I'm skeptical.
I love Kuminga.
I'm skeptical on how this is going to work from a basketball sense.
I'm saying.
From a financial standpoint,
but here's the other part.
I agree about the flexibility they created financially.
Well, they do have flexibility.
They have a lot of it.
But at the end of the day, when you trade away Patrick Baldwin Jr. to save $10 million, and again, they may really like this Davis guy, and I hope it ends up working out. I hope he's a little more polished and it's what he's looking for. But to immediately pivot off a first-round draft pick less than 12 months later, to me, there's bigger issues here. This is not just about JP. To me, this is about whatever was going on in that front office, whatever was going on with that coaching staff. They all weren't on the same page. Players, everything. So, there's a lot of layers to this. And JP is one element of it. He's a big part of it. But there's deeper rooted stuff here. Right. And I think that's the thing a lot of people are unwilling to acknowledge. The other part is this. The owner's sitting here saying, and I love Joe Lacob, he spent up the wazoo to try to keep this team together. He's telling me money's no option. But you can't say that and then go over, we cannot get saddled with Jordan Poole's thing. I thought you said that money's no option here. If that's the deal, then you need to wait it out for the best deal. And I'm not sure this was that.
Well, that new CBA deal really crippled the Warriors and what they can do in the future. It really did. That's what it is.